Alright, so in the last video we looked at get element by ID and query selector. Now we're going to look at some of the selectors that are used to select more than one element, and they return either an HTML collection or a node list, okay, which are both similar to arrays, except there's certain things we can't do that we could do with a regular array, but they can also be converted into arrays very easily. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with the first selector we're going to look at, and that is get elements by class name. All right, so it's going to be document dot get elements. Okay, it's plural, elements by class name. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a variable here, and I'm going to call it items, and I'm going to set it to document dot get elements by class name. And remember, each one of these list items here, they have a class of collection item. So that's what I'm going to put in here, is collection dash item. All right, and then let's do a console.log of items. So if we save that, you'll see down here that we actually get what's called an HTML collection. You can see right here, HTML collection, and each list item is going to be in an index. So we have 0 for the first one, just like an array. And if we look inside here, it gives us all the different properties that are available. So things like the inner text, inner HTML, we can get the IDs, the classes, anything we want from these items. All right. Now, if we want to access a specific one, then we could treat it like an array in that case. So we could say console.log, and let's say items 0, and save, and that gives us the first list item. All right, you can see as I hover over this, it hovers over the first list item. So we can do certain things to these list items in this format. So if we were to say items 0 dot style dot color equals red and save, we can style the first one here. All right, if we wanted to take, let's say the item with index 3 and change the text content, we could do that. And save, and now you can see this one has the text of hello. All right, so we can access them like an array. Now, we don't just have to use the get elements by class name on a global scope. What we could do is we could first select, I'll give you an example. We'll select from the UL. So let's say const, we'll call this list items, and let's set this to document dot, and then we'll use query selector, which we learned in the last video. So query selector UL, and then from there we can say dot get elements by class name. Okay, and then in here we'll put collection dash item. All right, so if we were to console.log that list items, then we're obviously going to get the same thing. But if I were to put a class with the collection item outside of that UL, so let's say this is the UL right here, I'll go right above it, and I'll just do a div with the class of collection item, and we'll just do test. Okay, so now this has a class of collection item. If we look in the console, the first one here, you can see it's included, the div right here. That's coming from just console logging items, which is get elements by class name on the global scope. Now, if we look at the second log right here, it's not included because these are only the collection item classes that are inside of this this UL right here. All right, so we can do that. We can attach it to specific elements rather than just globally. All right, so now let's take a look at get elements by tag name, which works very, very similar. In fact, what I'm going to do is copy all of this right here, and we'll put a comment in here, we'll say document.get elements by tag name. All right, we'll paste this in, and then let's change the variable here to, we'll say LIs, and then we're going to say get elements by tag name, and then we want to put in here the tag, which is going to be LI. All right, and then we'll do a console log of LIs. Let's comment this stuff out just to see what we get. We'll also comment this stuff out. All right, so if we save that, you can see we have another HTML collection with all of the LIs. All right, I'm actually going to get rid of that test that I did right there, this div. Just wanted to give you that example. All right, so we're getting the LIs. We can also console log certain indexes from LIs. So if we say LI 0, that'll give us the first one, just like it did up here with the class name. Okay, we can also style. So if we say LIs dot style color red, and then for this one we'll do LIs 3 text content hello, save, and you'll see we get the same effect. Okay, so we're doing the same exact thing. We're just selecting by the tag name instead of the class. All right, the inner workings actually work the same, pretty much the same exact way. All right, now an HTML collection is not an array, and we've kind of covered this already, but I just want to show you again that if we were to do, let's say console.log, LIs, and then before that let's do an LIs.reverse, which is an array method. So if I save that, we're going to get an error saying reverse is not a function. So what we could do is we could convert HTML collection into an array, and we do that by saying, let's do LIs. Actually, if I want to redeclare this or redefine the value, this needs to be let. So we'll say LIs equals array dot from LIs, and now if I save, you'll see that error is gone, and it does the reverse, and then it console logs it. All right, we could also do a for each now since it's an array, so we could say LIs dot for each, put in our function, and then we'll say li, and let's console.log li and save. All right, if we wanted to log something else, like let's say class name and save, then it's going to log all of the class names, which is right here, collection item. All right. If we wanted to change all of these inside of here, then we could do li dot text content equals hello and save, and now they're all hello. And we could also pass in an index here, and we could set this to a template string, and we'll say index colon and hello. So now we have the index, and you can see it's reversed. We have 4 at the top, and it's going down because we have our reverse function here. All right, so now let's take a look at query selector all, which is pretty much like these two, except it returns what's called a node list, and there are some differences. A node list actually counts not just elements, but things like text nodes. It also allows us to do things like for each and do some other array methods without having to convert it. So let me put a comment in here. So this is going to be query selector all. So let's do the same thing and grab the list items. So we'll do const items equals document dot query selector all, and we can put anything in here. So for instance, we could do ul dot collection li dot collection item, which is going to have the same effect as if we just did li, but just to show you that we can put any kind of CSS selector in here, just as if this was jQuery. Okay, and if we console.log our items, we get the same thing, our collection, except it's not an HTML collection. You can see it's a node list. All right, so if we were to, let's try to do a for each without converting it to an array. So if we say items dot, I'll just copy what we did up here actually. We'll say items dot for each function. We'll call each one item, and then we'll log item. Actually, we'll get rid of that. We don't need that. But let's just change the text. So we'll say item.textContent, which will be the index and then hello. So if I save that, you can see that the text has changed and we have an index. And I didn't have to do this right here. I didn't have to convert it to an array since it's a node list. All right, now remember I was telling you about changing the style for the odd and even. What we could do now is let's create a variable. Let's see, we'll say const, let's say li odd. Okay, and we'll set it to document dot query selector all. And then in here we'll put in that we want to select the li and we want the nth child odd. All right, I'm also going to do an even, so let's just copy that down and we'll change this to even, and we'll change the variable to even, li even. All right, and then what we would do is loop through one of these. So let me just copy this for each loop that we did. So this will be li odd. We're going to loop through it, and then let's get rid of this. What we could do is say li, or not li, item. Let's see. Yeah, actually we'll do li. So li dot style dot, let's do background, and let's set it to a gray. So save, and now you can see that every odd is now gray. All right, now we could do this. We don't have to use this for each. We could actually do it with a for loop. So I'm going to give you another example to do the even with a for loop. So we'll say for let I equals 0. We'll say as long as I is less than li even dot length, increment by 1, and then in here we'll do li even the current iteration, and then dot style dot background, and we'll set it to a lighter gray and save. And now you can see that all the evens have the light gray now. All right, so you can do it either way. And the for loop will work even with an HTML collection, even if you don't convert it into an array, because you can still use length on an HTML collection, and you can still access it with the brackets with the index. All right, so I think that's going to do it, guys, for the multiple element DOM selectors. In the next video, what I want to do is start to look at traversing the DOM. So how to kind of move around within our JavaScript. So how to get parent nodes, child nodes, things like that, how to move around. All right, so we'll get to that next.